Lake Lewis Jr. Show, everyone. I appreciate you joining me as always. And again, if you want to follow me, you can do so by following me on social media at Lake Lewis Jr. And then you can subscribe to this podcast, which is the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. You can subscribe to it on YouTube, or you can subscribe to it in audio form via Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You name it, it's on there. We've got a big one today, folks, and I'm really excited about it. We're going to throw a party today on the show. It's going to be another one of our fan shows. So this one's a playoff party, and we're going to have like 8 or 9 fans joining me for the next segment, pretty much for the rest of the show, where we're going to talk about the Washington Commanders as they head into Detroit for a big one, folks, a divisional playoff game. Who saw this coming? Not too many people did, but guess what? Nevertheless, we're still there. And does Washington have an opportunity to win the football game? Well, you've got to watch the full next segment with these fans to find out my prediction towards the end. But I'm really excited about it. These are people that have been supportive of me over the years. And so I'm bringing them on. Some of them have their own podcast. So we'll make sure we plug that as well. And we'll talk about Washington's chances. We'll also talk about who needs to have big games in order for Washington to win. And then we'll talk about the culture. We'll talk about everything that's changed for Washington, and are they emulating Detroit, who ironically went through some lean years themselves and are having an opportunity to compete for their first ever opportunity to get to a Super Bowl. They would have to do so next week, not this week. They still have to get past the Commanders, but a lot of people in the Motown feel like Detroit is on their way to possibly representing the NFC in the playoffs. I think Washington might be able to derail those plans, so we'll talk about that. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have our next segment with the fans. It's going to be a party, folks. You don't want to miss it, so hang tight. Welcome back to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show, and as I promised you guys, today is Fan Day, and it's going to be a party. We're going to talk about the Washington Commanders traveling to the D to take on the Detroit Lions. And we've got a lot of different guys here from all over the country right now. There's some here locally. And then we actually have someone in there. Brad Jones is in here, and he's actually in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, man, I don't know how you do it, but we'll get into that. But first and foremost, I wanted to bring you guys on because a lot of you guys are great supporters of mine, and I appreciate that. And, right now to see your team winning and have an opportunity to advance in the playoffs is something that I think outside of this group right here and other fans locally, no one expected. So let's talk about right now your excitement for this football team. And is it something that you ever thought you'd see again if you remember the good old days like myself, or if you're young, like some of you guys in here, you never saw it? So let's start up here with Josh. Josh, were you how do you feel about this group right now?
Man, I haven't been this excited since 91, honestly. I mean, the RG3 days were nice, but they were short lived. I haven't, let's just put it this way, I haven't screamed at the television in joy like this in a really long time. And yeah, it feels nice. And living here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, to have all these Vikings fans now pulling for us, we've got a lot of people in this town pulling for us now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure you probably thought at one point Washington could be going to play Minnesota at some point, but
Yeah.
that obviously was short-lived too.
Yeah.
They didn't show up versus the Rams at all. So that's a whole nother story. Let's get down to Brad real quick because Brad is in Detroit, folks, and yet he's a diehard Commanders fan. So what's life like for you right now in the D?
Listen, I've been repping my Washington stuff at work all week, and they've been giving me the business. They giving me the business. They giving it to me. It's a group text with my family, and everybody said don't talk to Brad till 11 o'clock Saturday night. Grandmother is on that group text.
Well, that might not change because if Detroit loses, they still won't want to talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, man, I kind of saw us like Detroit. 3 years ago, Detroit was just starting a new coach, new GM. They were just starting, but we're just much further ahead than they are.
Yeah.
Right now, we're there. Detroit has that team that will follow their coach through a brick wall. We're right there too, though. You know what I mean? So I'm excited, and I remember back in '91. I remember when we played Detroit in Washington,
NFC Championship.
NFC Championship game. And it's reverse now. For me, just to see it full circle, the world and the Washington fan base got introduced to Jaden in Detroit. Here, the draft was here.
I was
Yep.
there. I was
Yeah.
there.
Right. We were communicating back and forth with each other. And now
Just so
here we
y'all know, I
go.
was the second person to ever interview him from
Yeah, I heard you
this
say that.
market. So I'm gonna hold on to that. And he and I we talk
There
about it all
you
the
go.
time in the locker room. So
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. So let me get some other guys here. Walter, good friend of mine from up there in Loudoun County. I used to coach his son in basketball, and his son was a little dude. Now his son is like hit this growth spurt. So we got
Yes,
some NBA
totally.
money coming.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, we've lived in Ashburn since, or I lived in Northern Virginia since 2002, and in Ashburn since 2006. And every day I drive by the practice facility, and I was like, you know, it wasn't a lot to be excited about because the commander, the Washington football team, now the Commanders, they weren't that strong.
Mhm.
Since I've moved to this area, but ever since draft night, I mean, everyone at work, everyone around town, you see more and more Commanders gear, and I find myself cheering for them and knowing that, like, hey, these guys might live around me. I might see them at the grocery store, and hopefully I can, get a ticket or something like. But it's great to have your hometown team doing well and excelling and advancing in the playoffs. So, hopefully we
Absolutely.
can go all the way.
All right. Shane, you're up. What you got, man?
Man, I remember before the season started when I spoke to you about this. I mean, I came to your DM and I didn't even think you were going to write me back, but you did, man, and I appreciate you for that.
No
And
worries.
since then, I've been a fan of you, everything you've been doing, man. I appreciate everything you do with the team. I actually saw this happening. Like, I didn't see 12-5 or us being deep in the playoffs, but I actually seen our team being way better than last year.
Yeah.
Reason why? Because of Dan Quinn. JD5 is great. Best rookie we ever saw. But I remember Tavon Diggs from the Dallas Cowboys, he was on a podcast with his boy Parsons. And he said Dan Quinn will have you running through a brick wall. When
Sure
I heard
will.
that, I was like, running through a brick wall? That's what he had these guys doing right now. And they're following the lead of Jaden Daniels. So if you have a quarterback that's playing good and excelling how he is and everybody's seeing it, me as a football player, if I'm playing football and I'm on defense, or my quarterback is playing good, I want to play good also. Everybody been talking about how our defense is not good. Our defense has got better since that Dallas game here. If you look at it, our defense has got way better.
Yeah. I mean, those are all fair points. And as a media person, that's there, I can tell you the first thing that jumped off the charts to me about Dan Quinn was he looked you in your eyes when he spoke to you. He speaks to you with his hands. Like he's in the conversation with you and only him.
Yep.
If it hits me like that as a media person, it hits some of you guys like that as fans, I can only imagine what it's doing
It's
to
gonna rub off on the
those
players. Yep, it's gonna
players.
rub off on the players.
Exactly. So they play hard for him, and I think we all know, and we'll get to the rest of you guys here in one second. But I think we all know if you looked at this team from an overall talent grade, they're probably a 60, and I mean that. No
Yeah,
disrespect. I mean, you really have outside of Jaden, you only have one other person on that offense that other people would literally fear, and that's Terry. Then when you look on defense, you might have your linebacking core, Louisville and Bobby. And then you obviously, I'm a big Lattimore fan. I don't care what anyone says. He's not.
He's a
Um,
love
beast.
them.
but you really don't have a whole lot of guys. I think Newton's going to be special once he gets a full offseason under his belt. But they don't have a whole lot of guys here that other teams would be lining up to make trades for or put a lot of money out for, free agents. And once that does happen, imagine how good Jaden's going to be. Imagine how good this team's going to be. Imagine how scary things are going to get for them over the next two,
Yep.
3 years. So we'll get to that in one second. But let's get on here. Let's get to Brandon. What's going on, Brandon?
Blake, how you doing, boss?
Good,
It's a
man.
pleasure to be here, and hello to everybody else. I mean, just my story is, I'm from the DMV. I don't live there currently. I live in Los Angeles because I work in the film business.
Mhm.
And being a Commanders, Redskins fan in Los Angeles is very difficult,
Yeah.
for one. But I've been through the glory years. I'm 50, so I got to see my team go to 4 Super Bowls, win three. And what I'm excited about this team is the fact that, I'm good friends with Rio, as you know, our mutual boy Rio. And what I'm happy for is the younger generation to feel what it's like what we felt in the glory years, and to feel that, and to feel that excitement, and feel that energy that we had. Because I remember the time where I really, really dug in to when the Redskins was when watching Doug Williams win the Super Bowl. That for to me was the most incredible display I've ever seen, and to see our guy do it,
Yeah.
and to see that happen, and so now we're seeing this rebirth, and I was talking to like, and this is a really harsh comparison, but I was talking about what I remember the first time I saw Michael Jordan drop 63 on the Celtics. That's the way I feel like when I watch Jaden Daniels. I'm seeing something that I've never seen before that is just electric. And I've never, like Josh said, I've never screamed at the TV, jumped, said, "Oh, OMG," more than I have this year. And it's such an elation feeling that I love, and I don't want it to end.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Okay. So Darian, let's go with you. And then I got my two guys coming up after you. All right.
What's going on, everybody, man? Lake, as always, I gotta give you flowers, man. I appreciate you for everything you're doing for the team and for the content creators. I may not look it, but I'm turning 40 this year. And when I was 6 years old, 1991 was the glory years. I remember my parents being in their early 20s and how excited they were. And I'm like, why are they so excited? I mean, it's just football. And then I grew up, right? So the thing about it now, and I talked to my mom earlier today, and she actually mentioned this to me. And in this year of 40, right, I'm really gratuitous for everything in life, because you go through so many ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and it feels like now being a fan, you really get to really accept the journey, and you're really grateful for the things that you've been through, and the feeling is just good, win or lose, right? It's just a good feeling. I'm looking forward to Sundays versus dreading them, watching our guys play. So I'm just real gratuitous of how the team has performed this year, and just what it's been able to do for me now in my adult life. My mom said, she said, "I'm so happy you get to experience this as an adult," because even somebody like her who's been a fan all her life. I've been in the DMV 95% of my life. She said she didn't think it was going to get good again. You know what I mean? So for her to be able to share that with me, and now me being able to share that with my daughter and my nephew, and them be able to have something to look forward to every Sunday, is just so exciting. And then also to have one of the best players in the league on the field, where I feel like, man, if he could run through a wall, man, literally, like he's him. So it gives me that extra feeling. It makes you just feel good as a fan, and feel like, you feel validated. You feel like all the hardships have just paid off, and now you can finally reap some of the benefits of your long fandom.
All right. So you guys, after I bring my two pups on right here, my two little brothers, you wait to hear what my analogy is with this thing. You're gonna be like, whoa, okay. So let's start with Connor up there. What's going on, Connor?
What's up, Blake? It is so nice to see all the smiling faces on here, and
It is.
This is my Lake. What he does and what we do at Sports Journey is so unique, because it is about the fans, and this is what we do, and I just love seeing everybody smile. Seeing everybody so excited, because this season to me it's is transcending. It just takes over the city. You can feel it, and I mean every good sports. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when the Golden State Warriors were nothing, when the Buffalo Bills were nothing, when the Kansas City Chiefs were nothing, and it took one guy. This is how sports is. It takes one person sometimes to just put the city on their back, and this is what it feels like. And this year's a reminder that sports is supposed to be fun. Like this is something that brings fathers and sons together. This is what brings families together. This is what brings political parties in Washington, D.C. together in one spot. In Lake, we've walked out of that stadium together many, many times over the course of the last few years, and just watched as just slid the decay of a fan base, of a city, of something that was so beloved, and it's back. And I feel it's back. And your faces say it all. Going to the store at Harris Teeter, going to the store at Publix, wherever you are, and saying, people going, "Hey, you watching the game tonight?" I'm going, "Well, I've been watching the game for 25 years. Where you been?" And that's what this is about. And that's what I'm so thrilled for. I'm so happy for the city. And this is the power of having one guy. And it's the story of sports, baby.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. Before we bring DJ on, I can tell you right now, I've been asked for so many autographs this year. And I would tell people, you don't know who I am. I mean, I'm not, I might be somebody else. I'm not who you think I am. And they're like, no, I know who you are. You're Lake Lewis, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, where was this the last couple years? Like nobody wanted to talk to you because you part of losing. So like it was a stench around me. So yeah, man, it's been wonderful. So DJ, you're down there in Georgia. So what's the vibe like, man? How's life for you down there?
I'm gonna tell you, I was driving the other day to work and I looked and I was like, that's a Redskins jacket, starter jacket.
Let's
Wow.
go.
I'm like, wow. Folks are out. Folks are talking about it. I mean, Atlanta fans are talking about Washington. You know, I haven't when the Harris Group took this thing over and you started to hear the vision, it gave me feeling of like that Jack Kent Cook type feeling with the team, how the team was managed, behind the scenes. It's about the players. The vibe with them, along with Dan Quinn, embracing our alumni, some of the greats that have played here. To see LeVar Arrington come back tells you a lot about this team. And I really thought in 2012 that was it. They had their guy. And I remember before my dad passed, I told my dad, I said, I think this is it. I think they got one. And of course it was short-lived. And I just don't think all the things and the pieces were correct. And now when you have a group that is about football, about business, but also understands that it takes football guys to run your football team. All we need to do is cut the checks and make sure that our fans are taken care of in the stands, and their experience is one that they can remember and cherish and have long lasting memories like we used to with the RFK. And, to see these fans excited, I watch you guys, Darren, and I watch Rio as well. You guys do an excellent job, man. Very much just so amazed by a lot of you fans and what you guys do as far as talking about this team. It's awesome. It is really awesome. It's what's even better is some of the people who've never experienced anything of the winning years. They only see it in NFL films, and to see these guys to be able to experience this is amazing. And I said it. I told you, Lake. Everybody talking about Drake May, and you know me. I'm a Senior Bowl guy. I love studying quarterbacks, and because I watched the SEC a lot being here, I knew he was going to be what he's shown. He's done that in college. That's just who he has been. And when you got a guy that he has the intangibles, and he understands, he has it between the ears. He understands that, yes, I have an ability, but it also takes work. It takes a grind. It takes time to work on your craft. It's not just about your athletic ability. And you've seen this progression throughout the year. So coupling that with a coach that just understands its players and understands the inner workings of how to get men to perform. It's a great combination, and it's so exciting to see a outfit that is a quality organization and looks like others that we watched in the New England Patriots, even the San Francisco 49ers, model outfits. And now these fans have a model outfit that they can be proud of. It is absolutely just overwhelming and astounding. And I find myself yelling when in fourth quarters when they score final touchdowns. I haven't done that in years, and I don't have much fandom, guys, covering the team. But boy, I've been yelling myself too.
Yeah, when it's good, man. Like when after the game's done, I'll make my way down to the field to do my post game, and when you go out on the field, literally the lower bowl of the stadium, of one side behind the home team bench, it's still full. This is like an hour after the game.
This is
They're
never the
still
case.
there because people want to get the tour. They don't want to leave. So the team let people stay. So there's been times I've been doing my stand up, and if we had turned around away from the field, you would think that that was like at halftime of the game or something. That's how much people they don't want to lose this feeling because they haven't had it. And I've said this for years. If you're like 35 or under, you don't know anything about this franchise to be worth a hoot. I mean, it's man, I'm tired of hearing you old heads talk about this. It's never going to happen. Well, now you see what's happening, and I'll say this, and this is to and then I'll give you my analogy. It's going to blow your mind here. But to the young people out there who are watching or whatever, because I can tell we got some distinguished gentlemen with some grays in here. The younger people have something that we didn't even have. Remember the old heads like ourselves who saw this team pounding teams, going to the Super Bowl year after year. They were a collection of talent that spread out, 1 through 53. They may have had a Riggins here or there, and Dosman had 1 or 2 great years. But I mean, a guy that literally everyone around the league is like, he might be it. They didn't even have that. So now the young kids are getting something that I haven't seen. And I go back to the very first practice of rookie minicamp this year. I could not believe, you guys saw all my reports. I could not believe what I saw. And I literally said, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing? Because he's it. And it was just the way he carried himself, the way he threw the ball, the way he floated on the field. I'd never seen anything like that. And I've been saying it ever since. Not tooting my own horn or anything like that, but I'm saying I know what my eyes saw. And this kid is special, man. This kid right now to me is the sixth best quarterback in the NFL. And I'm only reason I'm saying that is because we know, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. That's a different beast. We understand that. All of them have had great success. Josh Allen, needs to get it done this year. And then for me, the guy that I think is like right there, right between Jayden and those guys, I still say Matt Stafford's nice, man. I mean, that the guy's a dog. He's a dog, and he's a Super Bowl winner too. So you can't discredit that. And they have a shot to beat Philadelphia. They really do. Okay.
Absolutely.
So Jayden is right there to me at 6. If they go into Detroit and win, it's an island we're playing with here. Somebody coming off the island and he's moved up the chain because what he's doing is phenomenal. So now here we go. Before I pull it back to you guys, I'm going to give you this analogy of why I think the more I watched the film today and yesterday and what I saw in the locker room in practice, it was just quiet confidence, not a lot of music playing, business like. And I remember before the Pittsburgh game, I remember before the loss to Dallas. Definitely wasn't like that in the locker room. I walked out the locker room saying, I don't like the vibe in there today. The vibe that I'm getting this week is they believe that they can go into Detroit and win. Okay. So now the reason why I'm saying that this could happen, think of all of the Washington things that have happened to bridge the gap from the years past this year. Okay. The 12 wins. Okay. The fans coming back, the success of, former Washington guys. Look at the coaches that were in the playoffs this weekend. All former Washington guys. People keep saying, oh, Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles was on the Super Bowl team. So think of all of these parallels that are coming back to Washington. Well, 2 big parallels. Washington beat Detroit last time they played them in the playoffs, okay? But more importantly, you guys are going to, when I tell you this, I'm getting ready to say it, you're going to be like, oh my God. Do you guys remember the days when everything went through the NFC East?
Of course.
It was either the Super
was a
Bowl or
powerhouse.
NFC East team or San Francisco. Okay, I'll give them that. Right. But it was pretty much whoever was the last team standing and won the division in the NFC East, they were the team that was expected to get to the Super Bowl. How fitting is it that we could be a game away from having Washington going up to Philadelphia, NFC Championship?
I know.
When I tell you that there's so many full circle moments happening here, that to me is a full circle moment that's happening. You know, they go up there, they lose that Thursday night game, and they didn't play well, but they still had a lead 10-6 in the fourth quarter. Then you know what happened here. The miraculous comeback. And I know Jaden Hurts was hurt. That's what everyone says. But Jaden Hurts didn't give up 30 something points on your number one ranked defense. Okay.
That's right.
Now they get a chance, possibly. And I know this is wishful thinking because you still got to go to Detroit, a bad place to play. But if they were to pull that off going into Philadelphia, because I think Philadelphia's beating the Rams, I do. You guys tell me that this place won't be buzzing. So there you go. That's my little spill. I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys. So the question now is for you guys. What, in your opinion, and let's try to make sure our answers are like 1 minute for each person, okay? What is your biggest moment from this game that's coming up in Detroit for them to get the win? We're not going to give a prediction yet, but I want to know, what do you think is the one most important thing that has to happen for Washington to get the dub in Detroit? And we'll start with Bragg since you're in Detroit.
Honestly, how we handle that crowd. That court field is a different animal. I done been in there. It's like laying next to a train. It is crazy loud. And how we handle that crowd and keep that offense off the field. If we can get B-Rob running and keep that offense off the field, I think we'd be all right. Keeping that offense off the field and maintaining that crowd. No false starts, them silent counts and things like that, because I'm telling you, that crowd is bananas. It's bananas in there.
Well, yesterday at practice, they piped the music in the bubble, and it was
love that.
I mean, it hurt.
I love that.
So maybe that'll help. All right, so let's mix it up again. So Brandon, we'll start with you.
I mean, look, I think if we can, obviously Jaden gets going, the offensive gets going. I don't think it's going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to be a shootout, to be honest with you. But I think if we can get a couple of those stops that we got back in the last game where Wagner came up big, if we can hold them to 3 instead of getting 7. And I think I think Terry's going to have a game. I just do. I don't know why. I think he's just going to have a game. And I just think that I went back and I watched Detroit Ravens game of last year because I wanted to see how they did with the mobile quarterback.
They didn't do well at all.
Let me tell you something. Lamar Jackson put on a perfection show with them. And I'm not saying anything, but I am saying they got their hands full with Jaden. And I think a lot of fans are, all the critics are discounting us and all well, it's all going to end now. I really don't think so. I really think we're going to surprise a lot of people. So I think if it's going to be a shootout, we can hold those guys, we're in it, man. Don't give us the ball with 2 minutes left because you're done.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that. Okay. All right. So Shane, you're up.
I feel we're gonna win. You got to win a turnover battle.
Yeah.
I think Lattimore. If Lattimore, he can have a better game. He didn't play bad versus Tampa versus Mike Evans. He didn't play bad. He did, but I think he'll have a more impactful game this game. And I think if we get a turnover from Jared Goff, because we're gonna get one. We all know Jared Goff. We're gonna get a turnover. I feel it. We know Jared Goff. When we get that turnover, we take advantage of it. That's what we got to do. And just ball control. Keep the ball like my man Brandon said. Keep running the ball. Get B-Rob started. Let's go. Got to run the ball in time of possession. That's how we'll win the game. Time of possession.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Y'all trying to slip 3 answers in there. So yeah, just one big thing. So yeah. So let's go with DJ here.
Well, I've been watching a lot of film with the Lions, and to me, it's just simple. Stop the run. Those guys have an excellent run game with Gibbs and Montgomery. Gibbs is an angry runner, and you're going to need to arrive at him violently because he is violent. If you can stop that, we all know Jared Goff can run for a yard or 2, but he's not a running quarterback. So I think if you can couple that down, which they've shown they could do that with Tampa, and then force it to put it in Jared Goff's hands, I like my chances with the way this defense was playing. 18th overall in the last 3 games of stats, and they're the third-ranked passing defense there. So I like my chances with what I've got if I put the ball in Jared Goff's hands.
Okay, good stuff. Let's Walter. Wait, you're up.
I think so far that one of the biggest keys to Washington's success has been, the hurry up offense and no huddle and just keeping the ball moving. I think in order to go against Detroit, I think one of the things that they'll need to do is continue that, but also spreading the ball around, not just running it, throwing it, and Jaden. We all know Jaden can run, so I think if we keep them guessing, keep them on their toes, we can I think pull out the dub.
Okay, all right. Good, quick answer. There we go. All right, Darian.
I'll echo a lot of the sentiments here. It's on the defensive side of the ball. This season we've bended a lot, but we haven't broken. I think this might be the week where we're fixed. I think we get a defensive play, a turnover, a touchdown, or something. We look at the long line of things that have happened for the team this year, and that hasn't happened yet. The defense hasn't had a game yet where they can kind of stake, their identity on. So I think that might happen this week with a big turnover, a defensive touchdown, or possibly I'm gonna add this into it as well. Special teams. This might be the week where we get something big on special teams inside. No elements to worry about. We already have a great return program, so I think this could be the week for that as well.
So it's funny you say that, Darian, because I call Jameson OG.
Yeah.
So, I talked to OG at practice, and I literally, like the last 3 weeks, we've been like, you this close to popping it. And he's like, I know, man. Like, he's like, I'm like right there. I think this week Jameson's popping one. I truly believe that. So that's a good call. All right. So let's go to Connor. You're up.
You guys, you guys hit just about everything you want to hit there. I'm gonna say this: punch them in the face, throw them off their game. Right? It's a weird old man thing to say. Get up to Detroit and punch them in the face. I think the key here for them is when you get this far into the playoffs, when you're playing this caliber opponent on this stage, it's a mentality thing, right? This is a lot of times you've seen less talented teams go further off of catching guys on their heels. If you put a weird vibe in that stadium, if end of the first quarter it's 3-0, it's 0-0, it's 7-3, and they're feeling weird, that's where you want them. Yep. Go punch them in the face. There's my key.
All right. Josh, you're up.
Well, you guys all hit the points I was thinking. Mainly for me, like DJ said, stopping the run is huge. It's huge. And that, especially since they got Montgomery coming back. So they got the 1-2 punch. They got that dumb Sonic thing going on.
Yeah.
But the main thing for me, I know we've all been waiting for it. And two things. One, St. Brown's been talking. I don't know why he's worried about guys who picked before him in the draft. It's kind of silly to me. But Diami's been coming up. Diami could have a big game too if they're doubling up on Terry. But I'm looking for that Lattimore interception. I'm telling you, that guy is going to pop one off. And when he fires out that interception, that defense is going to get lit right up. And it's going to take the wind right out of that crowd. Right out of them.
This is normally on my show I'm talking. But just to hear you guys, I'm just sitting back, man. Like, this is good stuff. Like, clearly you guys know your team and you know the nuances and the little things that need to be done. If you were to ask me what is the one thing that I think has to happen, I'm just going to say for Jaden Daniels to put his jersey on. because for me, whenever number 5 plays, he's no worse than the second best player on the field. For 13 games, we've seen him be the best player, maybe even 14, 15. We've seen him be the best player. And when he's the best player on the field, they win the game. When he's the second best player on the field, they have an opportunity to win the game. So as long as that kid, if he puts his jersey on, they've got a chance to win this game. And again, it goes back to trusting your eyes and knowing what you have. And he does everything at the end of the games. I told Dan Miller this today, voice of the Lions. If this game is close in the fourth quarter, Detroit's going home. It's just the way it is. So my next thing to you guys, and we have about 17 minutes, so we got to make sure our answers are quick here. I'm going to ask you for your player of the game, and I'm going to ask you for your prediction, and you can give me a score. So you can do two-part answer for you, but don't drag it out too much though. Okay, so I'm going to give you mine first. My player of the game, I just said it, is Jaden Daniels. My prediction, I'm not giving that to you because you have to wait till tomorrow, but you never know, never mind. So we'll fire it up. Connor, you go first.
That's a professional right there. You guys see that plug right there? That's a man who's done this. I love it. Jaden Daniels is the easiest answer, but for the sake of mixing this up, I would say player of the games is probably, this sounds weird. I'm going to go off on a limb because everyone's going to have a different answer. So I'm going to try to do this. De'Ami Brown. He's going to have the opportunity again. I think Terry McLaurin has demanded the respect that he deserves. And I think De'Ami Brown has been given the keys to wide receiver number 2. And in a big game where Jaden has found that yes button of, I can lean on this guy. Give me De'Ami Brown as my player of the game. And let's go ahead, and I'm gonna say Lions 30. I'll go Skins 23. I think the Lions are just gonna be a bit much for us to handle. But I will say this: we're gonna show up there. We're gonna swing. It's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
It's gonna be awesome.
Good stuff, man. And I always tell people, think with your head, not your heart. But some people might be thinking both. So that's a good one. So let's go with Shane.
Player of the game, Jaden Daniels. If he keep playing the way he been playing all year, we're good.
Okay.
Don't change anything. Don't try to be Superman. Just keep doing what you've been doing all year, and we'll be good.
Okay.
Prediction, I say 28-23, Commanders.
Okay. All right. So we got one for them. All right, Brad.
Player of the game, I say Austin Eckler, because we can run the ball against them. We can run the ball against them. I think his name is Akeem. Their D tackle was down, and Aiden Hutchinson was down, so we could run the ball on them. The game will be close, but I think that crowd and Detroit hungry, and they are where we want to be in 3 years. So I think the score will be like 34 to 21. I think they get us. In the end, they just going to keep piling this on. I think they get us.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Josh.
I'm going with my heart. I can't. Do I agree with the Detroit probably pulling it off? Yeah, maybe. But I'm not doing that. I had 6 times clutch games this year. 6 times.
Yeah.
I'm going 31-28 us last minute. And I'm going number 5.
Okay. All right. DJ.
Well, this is the 29th ranked defense in the pass game, and we have 5. So I am going to say player of the game, Frankie Louvu. The Oos is going to either tip an interception to a corner or he's going to get one to go to the house. One thing I've watched with the games that they've played good teams with that have kind of slowed their run game down, Jared Goff becomes predictable in where he's going to throw the ball because of his throwing motion. You can see it before it happens, especially the ones that they like to throw Gibbs out of the backfield. So I think you saw it with Houston. They were able to knock some balls down. I think that happens. And I'm going to go with 27-20. Washington drives down again in fourth quarter and scores the last touchdown to win the game.
Okay. All right. Walter. And then we have Darren following you up.
All right. I think Terry McLaurin, he's going to find and exploit all the weaknesses in the Detroit secondary and go for, a lot of medium, maybe even a couple deep passes. And then I'm going to say 28-20 on Washington.
All right. And then here we go, Darian. DH, let's go.
Listen, man. The Tar Heel. Will he do it again? We don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But I'm gonna go with my head on this one. I believe this week the player of the game is gonna be Zach Ertz, and I'm gonna tell you why. Zach Ertz, I feel, might have another big game on this belt. I'm going +2 with anytime touchdowns this week, by the way, with Zach Ertz. But I think he will be the difference maker for us in this game. And I think we win. I really do. Earlier this week I said 33-27. I think I'm gonna stay there. 33-27. Commanders go up to Detroit, go in their trap, take over their trap, and lead there with a dub.
Okay. So I mean, this is, mixed reviews here, but the thing is, each one of you have respectful, thoughts on it. So it's not like, oh, Washington, like if one of you had said Washington wins the game 30-0, I probably would have, got you up out of the squares here. Like, come on, man. I listen, I'm feeling kind of itchy to give my prediction. Um,
You were spot on last game.
yeah, I mean,
We
I
won't tell.
felt like it was coming down to Zane. I did. I really did. And it did. I've been on, my predictions have been pretty good this year, I must say,
Yeah.
But this game's got me, it's got me thinking Washington's going to win the game. And the reason why I say this is because, is Detroit the better team? Yeah, probably. Talent wise. But when you start talking about the pressure that they're going to be facing in their building to do something they've never done before, like, you can't anoint someone that hasn't done anything. They don't know what that crown feels like. They've never done it. So they're in the same boat. But the difference is Washington shows up playing with house money. It's like if I gave you $200 to go to the casino, if you lose it, whatever. But you can play it on whatever. That's Washington in this game. And I think, again, when you have number 5 and you have one of those ones, you legitimately have an opportunity to win every game you face. And I don't think this is them walking into this deadly environment that they're not going to be, ready for, because again, Jaden's young enough to not have played in a lot of these stadiums around the league. He remembers Alabama. And again, Danny Miller and me were talking about this today. He said that the kid from Alabama, the corner in Detroit, he said the loudest he's ever heard a stadium was when he picked off Jaden Daniels in Alabama last year. So what I'm saying is, for Jaden to have played in LSU, to play at Florida, to play at Tennessee, to play at Alabama, those are 100,000 people stadiums, seat stadiums. With that kind of football pressure in the South and DJ's territory of SEC country, that's a legitimate thing to think about. So I'm going to say this. Detroit's pass defense is ranked 30th. Yes, some of that's inflated because they were blowing teams out who had to throw on them. We know that. But they still have some holes in that secondary.
Think don't lie.
And if Washington can get a contribution from someone other than Terry McLaurin, because he's going to get you his. But as you guys said, the Dayami crowd, if they can get a contribution from someone else on that offense, and if B. Rob, surprisingly, can run for 30 yards, that's all I need him to do. If he can run for 30 yards in this football game, to couple that with Jaden's rushing yards and Eckler, maybe even Jeremy McNichol, maybe even Chris Rodriguez, who's to say? Washington wins the football game. So I'm going to say this. It's not getting over 55 points, which is the spread. I don't see that. I see Washington winning this football game 20. Oh my gosh. I'm going to say they score 2 touchdowns, kick 2 field goals. It's going to be a low scoring football game. I see Washington winning this game 20 to Detroit. I'm just going to say 19. Washington kicks a field goal at the end. That's what I'm going. That's where I'm going.
Wow.
So I said it here.
The man has spoken.
You haven't been wrong
2019.
often, Lake. I told you, man. Give me those Powerball numbers, man. You haven't been wrong often.
Swami Lewis.
2019. So there we have it. We got about 8 minutes left. So, I definitely want to throw something else out at you guys. So when you see Jaden Daniels and you see what he's doing, tell me another player that you can recall from your lifetime for Washington that had that kind of cachet? And I'll just tell you, mine is Sean Taylor, just where other teams knew where he was and feared him, and he just had that aura around him. We'll start with Connor. Who's the guy that you see that with Jade?
Man, it's funny, and this is a part of me being in this younger demographic, right? This is me not seeing those glory days of the Darryl Greens and the Art Monks and these legends. To me, Sean Taylor's the perfect answer. I mean, that there's really any other answer than that is anything I say after this is number two. I'll say this: I really
I'm
enjoyed
using it
and
to
had
prop my phone.
I really did enjoy, and this is a lot of my early memories of the Clinton Portis years after his trade from Denver, him coming in and that first game that Gibbs coached against Tampa, that season opener,
First carry.
in '05, his first carry, busted to the house and you went, man, this dude is a dog. This guy is something. He in his heyday, obviously the Santana Moss miracle days, but I'll go ahead and give you the Clinton Portis in '05. Remember feeling like, dude, Denver is sweating that trade. Obviously, it was a perfect trade for both teams, but give me Clinton Portis in '05.
There you go.
All right, Walter, you're up.
Yeah, Connor, man, you took my choice. I was going with Clinton Portis. So, I mean, he definitely had that intimidation factor. He had that aura, like Lake was saying. So, I mean, if he was on the squad now, I mean, watch out.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That would be something.
He hit.
It really would. All right, so Josh, you're up.
20 years of Darryl Green, baby. People watching that guy just chase people down. It's like, oh, that guy's got the ball. There ain't nobody's in sight. Here comes Darryl.
Like came out the bottom of the screen on him.
Seriously. Yeah,
Okay.
you didn't want to throw to that guy.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we've got Clinton Portis, Darryl Green, Sean Taylor. All right, let's go with Darian here.
This answer is this question, excuse me, is kind of hard because as much ball as we watched, throughout the time,
Mhm.
You see it, but like now I feel like we really see it. We have more access to like the behind the scenes stuff. So I really don't know if anybody has had the effect that Jaden Daniels has had this year. For my answer,
Valid.
just
That's a great answer.
That's
the way
valid.
seeing him play and seeing what he does on the field.
And
I
he's
don't
a
know if I've
quarterback.
seen exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen anybody else affect the game the way that he does now. And of course, now we get the full picture with the access that we get with content and everything like that. So that's my answer is nobody.
Okay. All right. That's legit. All right. So Brad.
I was going to say Darryl Green because he's a God-fearing man, just like Jalen is. But I'm going to agree with Darian. Nobody, because as great as Jaden is, I watched his video when he was mic'd up. Even the players like him. They don't even dislike him.
Right.
You know what I mean? They
Yep.
pick him up. He's showing love, telling guys, you a beast in this OG, and they like keep your head up. You're gonna be great in this. They like him. So I don't think we've ever seen that with not only with how great he is on the field, but his humility. The kid don't even celebrate when he threw a touchdown.
Yeah.
Man,
When they kicked the field goal against Tampa Bay, he sat there. The Hail Mary, he didn't even say anything. So
let me just tell y'all, man, and then we'll get to Brandon next, and then Shane, and then DJ. So in the locker room the other day, you know how you just have a rapport with different people different ways. My rapport with Jaden is more like it's more like little head nod. He's sitting in his locker, just going stretching his socks, some red young people socks. I don't like them, but just some young socks. He's gonna get on me about that. But the socks, and he's stretching the socks out, and he looked at me and he's like, like the socks, whatever. So I'm saying these things because the kid has the world at his feet right now, and he doesn't even know it because he doesn't want to know it.
Yep.
He is a normal person that is great at what he does. And when you talk about at practice, he's not looking over at us. I said that from going back to rookie minicamp. He doesn't look at us over at the media. He's focused on the field. It's the same way in the locker room. He jokes with guys. He's in the locker room every day until they don't have to be. There's only one quarterback in my history of 15 years covering this team that stayed in the locker room and mingled with people, and that was Alex Smith. Other than that, you didn't even know if their guy was on the football team because you never saw him in the locker room.
Yep.
Ever. So that just goes to show you what this guy is for this team and for this fan base and franchise. So, okay, not to cut you guys off because we still have 3 more and we have 3 minutes, so let's make these quick. But Brandon, you're up.
I'm going to go with his composure and how cold he is and how just smooth and how he never gets phased. I'm going to say Art Monk. because Art Monk was so dependable, and he never talked to anybody. He just did his job and did his thing, and that was one of the people I loved, Art Monk. So that's my guy.
Great answer.
Yeah, man.
Nice. Jaden is kind of like an Art Monk in some ways,
very much so.
Right.
Very kind of quiet, but an assassin at the same time.
Doesn't talk.
Correct.
Exactly. All right, Shane, we got you up, and then DJ, you're
outside his cockiness, it would have been RG3 for me because of the spark he gave the city when he came here. But it was short lived because of Dan Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know the reason why we were so bad for so many years. It was Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
Like you can't have bad things behind you, like behind the scenes, and think good is going to come to your organization. When it's negative that's in the media, your organization is going to be bad. So I could say it was RG3 for me, but that was short lived.
Okay.
But what Jaden's doing, amazing, electrifying. We love it.
All right, DJ. DJ, you're okay. Here we go.
I love the Jaden Daniels answer, by the way. Very good. But it's Charles Mann for me because he reminds me of Jaden Daniels. Dude was an assassin, played the game with tenacity, but he was very quiet and wasn't boisterous or anything. He just went out and did his job. And, I like the Jaden Daniels answer too because of that. The guy goes out and does his job and really shows that he applies what he reads as being a man of Christ. And, I can get down with that. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we got a minute left. I'm going to wrap it up. And, but just wanted to tell you guys, I don't think this is going to be the last fan show we have this year. I just don't, because I think the thing continues on after next week. Man, if it go to Philly, we got family in Philly too, just like I got family in Pontiac. So this would be
if we
something.
beat Detroit, I'm grabbing a flight to New Orleans. If we beat Detroit, I worry about nobody else after
already
Detroit.
2 games ahead.
I worry about nobody else after Detroit.
Well, look, gentlemen, man, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day, and know this is you've been on for an hour. We have fun with this, and everybody was patient to wait for your time to speak and everything. So we'll continue to do this, but from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate you guys and all the support that you've given me. And, so now I ask that you give some of that support to these 2 gentlemen over here, Connor and DJ, because they really do great work at sportsjourney.com. So, remember to make sure you guys keep pushing that podcast for me, the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. So, look, we got to wrap it up. You see the thing.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, guys.
So, let's get a dub this weekend.
Let's do it.
Indeed.
Let's go. Keep it going, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
Fellas, I appreciate you guys. Take care now.
TTC, baby.
Thanks,
Let's
Lake.
go.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, guys.
Yeah, and I appreciate everyone that made their way onto today's show. A lot of the fans that came on, and as you saw, the very diverse group of folks, scattered all over the country. One in Los Angeles, one in Minneapolis, one in Detroit, and then fans here. So literally, we had the range. Down in Georgia, we had the range all across the country. So, just was really excited about them coming on, and I greatly appreciate their support and continued support going forward. Remember, folks, if you want to follow me, you can do so on social media at Lake Lewis Jr., and you can subscribe to the podcast. The channel on YouTube is The Lake Lewis Jr., and the show is The Lake Lewis Jr. Show. So make sure you subscribe to me via audio or video format. As always, we're going to talk about the Washington Commanders next week. This is the last pod for this week, but we'll talk about next week when we come back. Are we going to be talking about a win? Are we going to be talking about a season-ending loss to the Detroit Lions? Remember, if you watch my program, you'll be surprised about my prediction, and it is something that I did do in today's show. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. I gave the score in that game, and I think, well, I'm not going to tell you what I think. You got to find out. So anyway, folks, we're going to wrap up today. Have a great weekend, and have a great weekend watching some football. Hopefully your team, whoever that is, hopefully they get a dub for you. And we'll be back next week to break it all down. So have a good one.